Yeah, I'll always be a metalhead. Nothing can take that away from me.
Right.
I mean, not jail, not people, not religion, not anything. I'll always be a metalhead. And we do all right.
You're listening to the Great Metal Debate Podcast.
Welcome back to the Great Metal Debate Podcast, returning with another amazing metal album review. Today we're looking at the new one from Melodeath supergroup The Halo Effect, their sophomore release titled March of the Unheard, due out January 10th from Nuclear Blast Records. For those unfamiliar, The Halo Effect is a collection of musicians who all hold in common that they were once members of In Flames, albeit members who participated in different, often non-overlapping periods of the band's history. This includes Dark Tranquillity vocalist Michael Stan, who back in 1995 essentially traded places with current In Flames vocalist Anders Frieden, who was the original vocalist for Dark Tranquillity. While In Flames isn't the focus of this review, it is fair to state this founding father of the Gothenburg Melodeath style later strayed into more groove, core, and alternative territory, forsaking its great origins in arguably the preeminent metal subgenre. Dark Tranquillity have remained more true to that original sound, albeit dipping their toes into depressive alternative and gothic rock territory. The Halo Effect is quite different and, in my estimation, are providing some of the best Melodeath that isn't on the doomier side that we find with Insomnium. As is my general preference, I'll go through all 12 tracks individually and then give some overall thoughts. The album starts strong with Conspire to Deceive, an intriguingly noodly melody from the guitars really maintains the song and allows the vocals and all the other instruments to play off of it. Nothing too complex here, a fairly straightforward opener, and not one that attempts to overwhelm the listener, but that's powerful in its subtlety. Track 2, Detonate, begins with faux aggression, but transitions into pleasing riffs and a nice sparking session from Stan. There's a couple of well-placed lead breaks that break up the track nicely. The chorus meanders a bit, but otherwise another solid song that has the guitars doing the singing. Our Channel to the Darkness is a track that keeps changing tempo and leaving the listener uncertain on the direction, using those alternations to navigate through worlds of pain and anger, yet ultimately it flows as smooth as silk. The core guitar melody in particular is a delight, and I really like how the keys give a tinge of eeriness throughout. A track which finds the band very sure of themselves in their performance. Next comes the rocking Cruel Perception, another nicely designed song. The Halo Effect are consummate in crafting compositions that always deliver something unique for the listener. I'll say that the chorus on this one I thought was a touch weaker than most of the others on the album, but the lowest points here are still competitive, and the beautiful harmonized lead guitar absolutely makes up for any shortcomings. What We Become has a mournful intro that quickly segues into a nice false frenzy, but the melody here, once again, is so solid. Guitarists Jesper Strablad and Nicholas Englund really do a consummate job playing off each other with rhythm and leads that complement, just effortlessly wafting back and forth between more aggressive and more subdued, but always allowing the melody to take center stage. Following those first 5 songs, we're brought to a 2-minute-long instrumental segue track, This Curse of Silence. This track functions as both a breather for the listener, consuming the entire album at once, as well as a strong intro into the title track. I'll say I much prefer the placement of this track here versus at the beginning of the album. To be honest, I'm kind of sick of bands trying to force a build-up intro that isn't needed. Just get to the songs, and then if you want to mix it up further down the line, go for it. Moving into the title track, March of the Unheard, structurally we find another good, solid song, albeit without many twists. Not too fast, not too slow, just right. Nice decorative color with traces of heaviness. The tour de force continues with Forever Astray, a shorter track featuring harsh vocals in the verses and cleans on the chorus. Really good lead work here with the Axemen capably commanding their fretboards. Again, just great pacing and execution. Between Directions is interesting with orchestrations locked with guitars to create a ton of atmosphere, managing different moods as they drift over the song's lighter and darker passages. Stan's clean singing on the chorus gives a pleasant, easy-to-listen feel to it, although in no way is it commercial sounding. A Death That Becomes Us is another good one, and at this point I'll just say that all these songs are solid. You won't find one to disappoint. Well-paced, with a nice syncopation in the verse, leading into a solid chorus, all along the way guitars creating some delicious riffs and gorgeous melodies. Although only a moderately paced number, The Burning Point has a bold drum attack and solid fretwork. Perhaps the most paint-by-numbers track on the album, with almost a Michael Arnaud-esque approach to the guitar melody, it's still a good and pleasing effort. The album ends with a nearly 4-minute-long coda, which is effectively an instrumental orchestral replication with some of the melodies we've heard earlier in the track listing. I actually love this approach, and much as with my opinion of The Curse of Silence, find this to be infinitely better presented at album end than as an intro. Here we're left to bathe in the post-climatic afterglow of an album that has touched us in all the right places. Generally speaking, I couldn't be more pleased with this second incarnation of the Halo effect. Production-wise, the album is on par with the previous, following that same direction of precision production with every instrument at its optimal level of clarity, yet stopping short of sounding overproduced. There's a breadth of distinction to each song, with the guitar sounds virtually perfect to my ears. The keyboards are wonderful here as well, with a diverse set of melodic and atmospheric tones that do a lot of work below the surface on the album. Stan does a good job of bringing mostly raspy roars, but a few sorrowfully contemplative cleans to the affair, often telegraphing where each song will go and accentuating the character established by the other musicians. I really like how the band explores analogous moods using different arrangements and structures that still fall in the confines of the classic Gothenburg Melodeath sound. If you're a Melodeath freak like I am, this is a must-have for your collection. Not lightly, I'm giving it a 9 out of 10. I definitely hope that the Halo Effect will continue making more music in the future because what they're doing now is glorious. Pick this one up.